Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another sunny day in Durham. It's midday, it's Monday, the 27th of April, and it's time for another episode of Tea with Richard. My name's Richard Hornby, and as you know, and those of you who've watched regularly, I'm live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from here in Durham with a cup of tea to talk about things to do during the coronavirus pandemic and to keep in touch with you all. Firstly, as always, I'm going to put on our scrolling captions on the bottom of the screen because nobody should be alone during this pandemic. If you need assistance or support, there are people available to help. So if you need any assistance at all, please do get in touch with the various support lines and organisations that are on the bottom of the screen, and there will be somebody there to help you if you need it. Now, I was trying to work out what to do during this episode, and I thought it would be nice to share what we did at the weekend, because we've had a weekend. It's been a lovely weekend. There's been some nice weather. There's even been a bit of rain here, which surprised me. But yeah, we're going to share things that we did at the weekend. I've got a few things to talk about myself, but I'd like you to contribute as well. So, for those of you who are viewing on YouTube, there is a live chat on the side of the screen, which I've just popped into the video here as well for the time being. If you want to say something or have an input or share, and I'd really encourage you to do this, share what you've been up to at the weekend with our viewers, please put a comment in the live chat and I'll try and mention them throughout the show. There is about a 20 to 30-second delay between you typing things and me seeing them. So start typing now, and by the time I've told you about a couple of the things I've been up to, I'll probably get your messages and be able to share them with you. So to start with, what I did at the weekend, I read a book. And this is something that often I don't have time to do. But if you remember, during last Friday's reflection time, I mentioned having a tech-free day. So what I did yesterday was I had an entire day where I didn't turn on my computer or my tablet or my phone, apart from to do urgent things like turn the alarm clock off. And I tried to do things that didn't involve technology. And the first thing I did was I finished reading this little book. It's vaguely work related, but I found it quite interesting. It's called A Compendium of Mathematical Methods by Joe Morgan. And it reviews some different ways of doing very, very simplistic and everyday maths from different branches of different areas of the world and different, essentially, parts of history. And one thing I found very interesting was the methods that were involved in something called Vedic maths. And I'm going to read about that a bit more in the future. So that's one thing that I did at the weekend. The second thing I did, and I mentioned this in one of the earlier episodes, was I watched the the online IndyCar race. And it was actually a really good, fun race. And it was almost like watching motorsport in real life. And it is available on YouTube if you want to go back and watch it. If you don't want a spoiler, put your fingers in your ears for 10 seconds. The winner was the visiting F1 driver, Lando Norris, and he won by a very long way. And it was surprising just how well he did. He's been invited back to do the next race, which will be a virtual Indianapolis 500-mile race, which should be interesting if slightly unusual. So that was the second thing I did at the weekend. And I'm now noticing comments appearing in the live chat. Hi to Nikki, who's made progress on knitting her jumper and then started unwinding the yarn and did a different one because she didn't like the pattern, and also was working on some baby boots for a friend. And also she watched the Chester Zoo videos because apparently those are happening every Friday. So if you haven't seen the videos from Chester Zoo, well, we mentioned them in the previous episode. I think we mentioned it a couple of episodes. You go watch those because they go around the enclosure and tell you about all the different animals. So that, thank you, Nikki, for mentioning that. That's a fantastic contribution. Okay, I did one other thing that I did was I got involved with a charity activity that was being done by one of my friends. This is Beth Armstrong, and what she's doing is she tried to play 26 tabletop board games in 2.6 days for the charity she works for called Wykins, who are doing a 2.6 challenge. The idea behind 2.6 challenges is because the London Marathon isn't happening this year, which is 26 miles long, people are doing sort of replacement activities to help raise money for charities that would have raised money during the London Marathon. And I joined in for a game that I'd never played before that was very fun. It was called Isle of Skye. Here's a little screenshot. Now, obviously, playing board games by social distancing does have its own challenges because you can't just have a board in front of you. What you actually need to do is to use either an online version of the game or an app like this one, which is it's a premium thing. You have to pay for it. It's called Tabletop, and it basically simulates a board game table. So all the pieces you pick up with a mouse rather than with your hand, but it works exactly the same way as a normal board game. This is called Tabletop Simulator. If you want to buy it, it's on the Steam store. As I say, it's a premium piece of software. I don't usually advertise things that are paid for, but I'm just letting you know this is what we used. And this board game, Isle of Skye, is one that I played with Beth along with her the other 26 games she played. I didn't play them all, don't we? I only played 3 of them. For her challenge. Beth has asked me to mention that if you do have time to read about what she's been up to, I've put a link in the chat that takes you to the giving page for her charity events. So if you want to get involved and see what she's been up to, that's where you'll find a little bit more of the information. Another thing that I got involved with at the weekend was doing some gardening. Because we've had such sunny weather, the grass has been growing, so I mowed the lawn. I also did a bit of pruning of one of my trees, and the less said about standing on top of a nettle and getting nettled in the leg, the better. But it was nice to enjoy some time outside in my garden. So that's what I did at the weekend. If you haven't shared anything that you've been doing, if you are one of the 8 people who are watching live and haven't actually shared anything, please go ahead if you want to. You don't have to. I'll keep the chat open for the rest of the video. So if you share anything later on, that's a very good question, Nikki. Why didn't I remove the nettles first? In hindsight, that would have been a sensible idea, but I was doing the tree pruning because it needed doing and just ended up stepping backwards into a patch of nettles. I'm fine though, don't worry about it. But yes, if you are one of the viewers and want to share what you've been doing this weekend, please just do add it in the comments and I'll mention it later on. And now I'm just going to slow down slightly and go to our regular section of our video that we have every time. It's called Reflection Time. And Reflection Time today, I was trying to think of what would be an important thing to do. And I figured that as it's time to focus on, we talked about waving at other people, we've talked about looking around the world, but we haven't focused on ourselves very much. And one of the things that I'm going to draw your attention to is the number of meditation and mindfulness resources that have been made available for free during the pandemic. And it's important to actually think about yourself and what's going on, taking time to calm, taking time to focus on your breathing, and try to put your worries into perspective. Because there are a lot of people who are panicking about things at the moment. And it's important really just to think about that and to acknowledge what's making you worry, and just to sit back and think, yes, this is what's causing me to panic, but I can deal with this. There are methods. And if you are stressed, try to look at some of those ways that you can help do that. That's partly the reason why I didn't use any internet yesterday. I wanted a day where I wasn't being bombarded with information about COVID-19, so I took the day off. So it's really good to just try and think about your worries and put them into a bit of perspective. This has only been going on for a month. Yes, it's going to go on for probably quite a bit longer, but it will pass. Everything passes eventually. And maybe this time next year, we might be sitting out in our parks, having fun, sunbathing, playing sport with friends, whatever. But for this short period of time during the pandemic, we all need to focus. We need to do the social distancing. We need to think about how we're going to interact with others and use things like social media more. So try to put things into perspective. We need to focus for the next few months. Then we can go back to something more resembling normal. So try not to panic. Try to relax. Try not to put your worries into perspective. So remember, that is our reflection time today. Put your worries into perspective and try to let them go. I'm noticing a few more people who were involved in Beth's games popping up on the chat at the side of the screen. So hi to Catherine and Beth as well there. Hopefully you had a lovely weekend. Beth's also pointed out that Carter has board games that are available for free and does a lot more automation. So that if you want to get involved with online board gaming, that might be somewhere to go. So that was a little bit of a trial of live chat. Hopefully you've enjoyed people interacting live during the videos. I've got a few plans coming up for future episodes this week. Of course, we will have our usual Your Corner on Friday. So if you've been up to something, if you've created anything, if you've done any baking, any craft work, I'm sure Nikki's going to send in some sewing or something. Email them in to tea@mallard-days.com and we will show them during the episodes and at the end on Friday. See all the past episodes, visit mallard-days.com/tea. Also, on Wednesday, we might have a little bit of a special because I'm planning to do a Tea with Richard live, not live. I'm going to pre-record a little walk through on my daily exercise tomorrow. Hopefully it doesn't rain, looking at all the little woodland plants and trees that I pass on my daily walk. And we might also visit Rainbow Road, which is one of the streets near me that has rainbows drawn in nearly every window. So I'm hoping to do that, record that tomorrow and include it in Wednesday's episode once I've edited it down, because hopefully you won't get a lot of me panting as I do my jog. But so that's hopefully for Wednesday, Your Corner on Friday. So thank you very much for everyone joining. Thank you very much for people who've been contributing in the live chat. And I'll see you on Wednesday. And we will finish this episode, as always, with our reminder that even though we've been going at this for quite a long time, and sometimes our hands can get a bit sore from this, please do remember that it's very important to wash your hands once you finish your cup of tea. Have a lovely couple of days, and I'll speak to you on Wednesday. Good afternoon, everyone.